You are a newly minted YouTube partner. And
Oh
from like glancing at your channel, I feel like every time I look at it, it's got like several hundred additional new subscribers. So I feel like you're kind of at like, I don't know, like, do you feel like you're at like an inflection point or anything like that? Like, how has like stuff been kind of prior to becoming a partner versus since becoming a partner and kind of that 1,000 subs mark? Like, have you noticed kind of a change in things, or is that just something that I'm seeing from the outside?
yeah, I think it definitely compounds. And it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier, building your real estate. Like,
Yeah.
your videos start to work for you. You're sleeping and they're all working together for you. And you start to really feel that after a certain point.
Yep.
I think for me, that was around the time when I became a partner. Um, and I started noticing more genuine comments, like from random people saying, like, oh, hey, you should try this, or I don't really like how you did this. And to me, like, I love receiving those comments a lot more than like receiving views because that shows me that like people are actually engaged and like wanting
Yeah.
to see my content. I'm really bad at waking up early, and that's something I really want to
I,
get
I'm
better.
I'm really
I'm
bad.
so bad at it. And
Yeah.
like me wanting to like succeed in this should be enough to just like bring out of bed, but it's not.
I
And I
know. I've oh my god, I've beaten myself up on this so much. Where
yeah.
I'll be like laying in bed and I'm like, Alex, this is your dream. Get out of bed for it. And then my body's like, no, my dream is this pillow. And the dream I was actually just in.
Yeah, exactly. Having ownership and control over like what I do and like my input being like what's outputted
Yeah.
is something that I want. I want to be my own boss. That is part of the reason why I'm also in this journey. And then two, the challenge. I know you
Yeah.
did boot camp. I
Yeah.
also did boot camp, and what I learned from coding boot camp was like that growth mindset, and leaving it really gave me the confidence of like I really can do anything that I put my mind to. And with
Yes.
structure and with process, with iteration, like I will get better. And I think that is also what's making this journey at least easier. I was gonna say, like, that niche is like I can imagine the challenge of being tempted to jump on the like hot topic now.
Yes. Have you ever seen like Bilbo or Frodo Baggins with the One Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings? Like, are you familiar with them like being attracted to the Ring of Power and being like, ah, yes, my precious?
Yeah.
So I I will feel like that sometimes where like I'll look at political hot takes and I'll be like, ah, yes, my precious, like, and I'll feel it like calling out to me, like the One Ring whispering to me, and I'm just like, oh boy, gotta stay strong. Can't take the ring for my own power because then I'll just become a servant of Sauron, or in this case, like a servant of the hyper partisan destructive news cycle.
And I really like that it's something I can imagine myself doing literally for the rest of my life.
Oh,
I
whoa,
feel
hell
like
yeah.
I can grow with my audience because like, you know, as I get older, I'll probably have different home tastes and so will other people around my age. And
Yeah.
um yeah. So I'm really happy with where I ended up because like even this year I'm shooting pretty high. I want to try to reach for 100K. I'm just like shooting for the stars
Hell
and I'll
yeah.
end up on the moon. but
Hell
I'm
yeah.
but I'm like working realistically and I'm trying to focus more on the system and the process because I
Yep.
think ultimately the better that goes for you, then the numbers will just follow.
Like,
But
this is
yeah,
a pretty bizarre job.
it is. It's an emotional roller coaster. And I mean, I've cried a lot of times. I'm not gonna like hide that. Like
Yeah.
it's like I faced a lot of self-doubt and I think that will always be there. Like no matter what you're pursuing, if it's especially something you're doing for yourself, like if you're starting a restaurant or whatever it is, starting an app. I think it's a lonesome journey sometimes too.
Yeah.
Um, so it's inevitable. Like you're gonna have those ups and downs. So I've learned to like just accept it. Like there's gonna be
Yeah.
those moments, but then I've also learned to reframe my mindset. So I feel like self-doubt when I feel like, oh, like that video wasn't that good or whatever it is that's leading to self-doubting, doubtful thoughts. feel like it always stems from some sort of like insecurity, like not feeling good enough. And there's different things that trigger that, whether it's like this video didn't go as planned, or I end up on someone else's channel who's doing so much better than mine, but she only started like a month ago. Um,
Yes, I have seen that a few times. That
yeah,
stings. Whenever you see someone who started after you, who's way ahead of you, you're like, all right, that stings a little.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've like learned to just reframe those thoughts. Like for instance,
Yes.
if I'm comparing myself to someone else, I try to think about like one thing that I'm good at and then one thing that they're good at. And it kind of turns this like moment of comparing to like a moment of empowerment. Cause like we're all on the same journey, but
Yeah.
on different paths. And I have my strengths and others have their own. And it's like just reminding myself of that. And then I think as my videos are picking up, I try to focus on those improvements and the numbers and the actual facts. Like, hey, but this did well and that's going well too, and just kind of keep myself
Yeah.
empower myself and turn off that inner critic. I'm liking like the videos more where it's more focused on like the project I'm doing, which is why I want to also make sure that I'm leaning more towards like being a creator and versus like an influencer.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want my content, even like when I'm filming, to be more about like the room or what it is that I'm showing and less about like my personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although your personality is important too, so that's kind of my struggle there as well. I don't like talking in front of the camera. It's just become a thing that I have to do, and I am getting more comfortable with it. There's so many pieces of wisdom that I would have.
Drop some bombs.
Okay. I think it's so important to like surround yourself with other people in the journey, and
Yeah.
and with like-minded people and those who like actually understand and empathize with what you're doing. Because I mean you're gonna have your friends who give you like, hey, you should do this and that, but it's not gonna come from like someone who's also trying to niche down or trying to strategize. You want like that real feedback, and it just makes your journey a lot less lonely and it keeps you accountable. So that's been a huge benefit for me personally.
Oh.
There we go. Boom. All right. Excellent. Okay. All right. So, hello, everyone. This is Eunice. To give a very quick introduction. So Eunice is a friend of mine, a former colleague of mine, and a very big part of kind of my process of getting confidence to go into content creation myself was in large part inspired by Eunice getting into it. So I am very excited to have her on in that regard, which actually makes it two major jobs in my career where she's had a significant impact early on, where she gave me the confidence to get into content creation. And on top of that, in my very early days at the startup where we worked together, in my first week, wasn't necessarily feeling fully settled. Like I hadn't kind of been welcomed into the organization. And Eunice, just via some friendly conversation, kind of changed all of that. And then I worked there for 3 years afterwards. So it was a very different trajectory. So it is a pleasure for me to have Eunice here. And good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me over. And like you mentioning that, I totally forgot how far we go back. Like I totally forgot about those loft days and your first day. I remember it clearly. You're like at your desk. And I was like, oh hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, man, time flies. It's really pretty crazy. Yeah. And I guess, oh yes, and on top of that, so Eunice is Eunice at home. I have Eunice _ at home in the title for this stream. Is that the tag where folks can find you kind of all over the place, or?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, excellent. Actually, let me do one other thing real quick. Sorry. I'm doing another quick adjustment to the stream.
Is this your second stream today?
This is not my second stream today. I only had an early stream yesterday. Normally,
Uh,
I stream from 3 to 6 p.m.
okay.
Sweet. So, I gave kind of my sort of like very quick high level introduction there. But before we kind of get into more specific questions and whatnot, I guess like, who are you, Eunice? What sort of content you putting out there in the world? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you basically covered most of it. My channel is on, I focus mainly on creating content on YouTube, and my channel is called Eunice at Home. And right now I'm focused on creating DIY projects, doing like home makeovers, as well as showing more home lifestyle things like how to reorganize your food pantry, my favorite Amazon organization products, things like that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, currently focused on YouTube, but I also do the fair amount of posting on Instagram and all the other social media stuff.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. All right. So, back to the beginning. Um,
Ooh.
so I mean, look, it's especially kind of getting into content creation full time. It's like a pretty big and serious jump, especially kind of walking away from a more traditional career. It's something that you did, which, as I mentioned, was kind of a big part of, giving me the confidence to make essentially a very similar sort of move on my part. I'm kind of curious about, when you were making that first decision to kind of transition from kind of a more traditional job to taking a crack at content creation, like what was going through your mind? Uh, you know, what gave you the confidence to take that jump? Things along those lines. Like what were you thinking about? And then what gave you the kind of motivation to do such a thing?
Yeah, I feel like it goes really far back, and I feel like that confidence really just kind of built up over time. So I mean, long time ago, like even in high school to early college days, content creation or whatever that term is wasn't something I knew about. But I feel like I've always inherently done some sort of it. I've
Ah,
had
okay.
numerous blogs during college. I posted like a couple of videos before I really jumped into YouTube. And
Hmm.
so it was always me like kind of picking at it and always wanting to try it out. And I always knew I wanted to do it, but there was always like the other pressures of like, I need to get my formal education. I need to get a proper job that relates to my major, et cetera,
Yeah.
adding onwards. Um, so like it's like weird because I don't have like this one moment that's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I think what really pushed me was not really being happy at where I was at my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And all of that its own thing,
Yeah.
and just being like, okay, maybe this is the right time to really try that thing out that's just been nagging at me.
Yeah.
um and so going in, I wasn't prepared at all. It's usually something people might do on the side, and then when it's picking up they quit their jobs to do it. But for me it was like I just went into it, didn't really even know what I was gonna focus on in regards to the content I was gonna create. So yeah, I don't know if like that directly answers your question, but
Yeah.
it's like all these things happening throughout my life, and then like this moment at which it just made sense to like try it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure that some folks have, kind of, instantaneous decisions where they're just like, ah, yes, like now I know this is the thing. But it does feel like that a lot of these like bigger life decisions, these sort of things that kind of evolve over time.
Hmm.
Um,
For
you
sure.
did, yeah, you did mention that it was kind of like you thought it was like the right moment. Is there anything that kind of like went into that moment that kind of characterized that for you, or was it more of like a gut feeling, or yeah,
Yeah, I think it was a timeline thing. So I had been at Nurex for about almost 3 years. I think it was
yeah,
like around 2.5 year point when I was like, okay, it's about that time when I'm considering like what should I do next? Like what's that
yeah?
next? Do I leave this company for another one? And so timeline wise, it just kind of made sense.
Ah,
Um,
okay, yeah, yeah,
and yeah. And yeah, I wasn't happy at like the trajectory of my career there in terms of like I was in product design, and I it's weird. So like I joined the past company we were at as an engineer, and then I ended up switching into design. But
Yep.
before being an engineer, I was actually pre-med. So it's like I was always finding like my way towards that creative
Yeah.
role, without really knowing like what was out there for me. And so I think it was a timing thing. Like, okay, it's been a while at this place. What do I want next? And it became that thing that I'd always been thinking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so you also, in a very similar way to like kind of how I personally like to approach things, which is like all or not. Like I like to just have like one big focus. I'm very bad at having like multiple major focuses in my life. Which is a part of why I wanted to go into this kind of whole hog and like
Mhm.
100% and just see where it takes me rather than doing the part-time into
Right.
maybe full-time approach, which I'm kind of curious, like what made you kind of approach it like that in terms of like going all in versus kind of like doing it on the sides.
Yeah, so I tried it on the side. Um, I before I quit and then did YouTube, I had released I think 2 or 3 videos before,
Yes, I
and
still remember the Barry's boot camp video.
yeah, oh gosh. I still keep it up there, but like it's so cringy.
Don't take it down. Don't take it down.
But I think it was like just always being so like half-heartedly in both of my 9 to 5 and that, and just not feeling like I was going anywhere and trying it out. And I'm just the type of person I need to be all in into one thing,
Yeah.
and I work better that way. So it was like a trial and learning from like trying out videos while I was working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
But
oh, go ahead.
it's weird though, because like now that I'm in it, I think I could definitely balance the two. Um,
Yes.
yes, because like now it's like I've gotten like a hold of my routine. I get what how much like energy and how much time I can put to get X amount of videos. So working backwards, I feel like I can now balance better, but definitely going in at it, I didn't know that, and it made
Yeah.
more sense to just like put myself in there without any other like obligations.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, there's a huge learning curve to this whole content creation thing.
Yeah.
And like as you know, you're moving up your way up the learning curve. Certain aspects of content creation become a bit more fluent, I guess, and that makes sense that you'd feel more kind of capable of just kind of fitting it into a life that is also busy in other ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about like your kind of transition because I feel like
Sure. Yeah.
you were in ops before you did engineering, and then
Yes.
now you're in content. So you kind of like switched as well at least 2 or 3 times. So like,
Oh, I've
yeah, what
switched
was
more
like,
than that. I'm
how
a
did
I'm a
you end
career
up
jumper.
how did you end up in content? And I remember clearly having a conversation with you during like after work one day. You were asking me about like content and that leap, and you mentioning like you were like you couldn't imagine like taking that leap. But I was pretty shocked when you reached out one day, like, I'm doing content now. I was like, oh my God, the last person I expected to be in this is in it, which is really cool. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious about your journey.
Yeah. So, um, goodness gracious. So, I would say that what are some of the things that kind of fed into making the jump for me? So, a big part of it is just that, like, online content is like almost all of the media I consume. Like, I watch some TV sometimes, but like, I haven't watched a TV show in like a couple months at this point. Like I don't watch the movies or anything like that. It's like YouTube videos, forums, games, stuff like that. Like that is my whole kind of media universe.
Yeah.
So it definitely had a bit of just kind of I've always enjoyed kind of consuming it. So there was that attraction of like, okay, well, what about actually making it and kind of putting it out into the world? So that was kind of a baseline level of what attracted me to it. So that was kind of a long-standing root and foundation there. As we get to be kind of a little closer to the present day,
Yeah.
um, a lot of the stuff I think were just kind of developments in 2020.
Mm.
So, first of all, without getting into too much detail, I'm definitely at a point in my life where I'm a little burned out on hierarchical organizations and kind of traditional work environments.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen a lot in them that I really don't like, to put it that way. And this is not just necessarily casting shade at where we most recently worked. This is a reflection on like a decade of having been out and about, kind of working. Um, and I really liked the idea of being able to be kind of my own boss, doing my own thing, like having total and complete control over my professional life. Because there's a whole host of reasons, but to name a specific reason, like one thing I think that I have personally observed across many organizations is that there is not necessarily a very strong correlation between seniority in the organization and how good you are at your job. And that has made me kind of question, like, if I get back into kind of a more traditional role, like, I know that I'm going to probably have some boss at some level, not necessarily my own direct boss, and actually that's pretty rarely how I've seen it play out, but someone whose thoughts, processes, and opinions I don't actually hold in particularly high regard, having a very strong material impact in my life. And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So that drove me a ways away from it.
Yeah.
Speaking pretty personally, having gone through like some pretty deep depression this year, that also just caused me to kind of pretty radically reassess my life and kind of my focus areas and the things I cared about. Just because if you're feeling super deeply radically depressed, it's like, oh shit, you got to change some shit in your life. And fortunately, like, as I've been kind of leaning into content creation, my mental health has gotten a lot better.
Good.
Um,
Yeah. Good to hear.
yeah. And then finally, there was a kind of aspect of ambition in it, in the
Cool.
sense that I have managed pretty skillfully all of my career transitions up until this point. Like, I have yet to actually like fail in one of them. So part of me was just like, fuck it, let's try something really hard that you're almost guaranteed to fail at. Content creation.
It's the challenge.
No, it really is part of the
Yeah.
challenge of it, right? Because like
Yeah.
this is something where like the chances of failure are super, super fucking high.
Mm.
And the ambitious, hungry part of myself, like, likes that challenge. Like, I genuinely get a little bored in roles where I feel like I think I have everything figured out. I like it when I don't think I know what I'm doing and when I'm just like, ah. Anyway, that was a long answer.
No, no, no.
But yeah,
Actually, there's like two things I want to say from your answer.
yeah,
One is two of your reasons. I wish I could like re-answer mine and add those in there because like having ownership and control over like what I do and like my input being like what's outputted
yeah,
is something that I want. I want to be my own boss. That is part of the reason why I'm also in this journey. And then two, the challenge. I know you
yeah,
did boot camp. I
yeah,
also did boot camp, and what I learned from coding boot camp was like that growth mindset, and leaving it really gave me the confidence of like I really can do anything that I put my mind to, and with
yes,
structure and with process, with iteration, like I will get better. And I think that is also what's making this journey at least easier,
yeah,
um, from that experience. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I've definitely kind of continually been thinking back to my time in boot camp, and it's definitely a big part of what's given me the confidence to do this as well. Because I'm like, all right, well, if I can learn software engineering, maybe I can figure this out. Knock on wood. Though I think this is even harder than that. I mean,
oh,
there's
yeah.
just like there's so many factors at play.
There really are. And
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned like I think you said like no structure or something. I'm a person who likes structure, so
Yes.
like this is really like anxiety inducing, but I
Yeah.
also like want like what I get out of it is like much more meaningful, and I really want it that badly that I'm like willing to learn to deal with the lack of structure,
Yeah.
and that's been an interesting challenge.
Yeah, that's actually perfect because I was, as you had mentioned, kind of structures and processes before.
Yeah.
I was actually, and this is an area where I personally I know I struggle significantly with in terms of like imposing my own structure. I've learned that, I'm very much one who does benefit from external structure, which has been kind of a growth and learning opportunity here. I'm kind of curious about like, how have you approached that? How have you tried to implement structure in your life, both in terms of like how you structure your time and days as a content creator, but also like how you like prod yourself to keep yourself accountable to that? Because I know I've certainly broken several promises to myself on this journey thus far.
Oh yeah.
So like what are you doing there?
Yeah. It's definitely been iterative. Like I'm still tweaking day by day. And I think I'm at a much better place today, not as nearly as close as where I want to be, but one big change I recently put was trying Notion.
Ah,
um,
yeah.
I'm trying to get more granular with my planning, and I love just the control I have with my planning with Notion. Um, in terms of my day to day, like the routine, getting up, having structure there, um, I think I'm really bad at waking up early, and that's something I really want to
I,
get
I'm
better.
I'm really
I'm
bad.
so bad at it. And
Yeah.
like me wanting to like succeed in this should be enough to just like bring out of bed, but it's not.
I
And I
know. I've oh my god, I've beaten myself up on this so much. Where
yeah.
I'll be like laying in bed and I'm like, Alex, this is your dream. Get out of bed for it. And then my body's like, no, my dream is this pillow, and the dream I was actually just in.
Yeah, exactly. So that I'm not gonna lie, like I'm struggling.
Me
But
too. Honestly,
yeah, I'm
that
struggling.
makes me feel better just hearing that someone else is also struggling with it.
And I'm on like day 4 now of not snoozing. So
Whoa,
I'm on the
impressive.
really early part of building this habit.
Nice.
Um, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm using Notion to track that.
Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, so we'll see with that. But other than that, I'm pretty much working like the full day. Obviously, the videos I'm gonna release like grounds my week. So
Yeah.
if I have a release coming up soon, I have to work backwards from that and figure out when I'm gonna film and script and all of that. Um, Day to day, so it's like funny because my fiance is heavily financially supporting me as I'm on this journey. So like
Yep.
I feel like we've been better at like splitting our responsibility. So like I do like a lot of the cooking and he does like the groceries. And
Ah,
so
yeah.
then like that kind of grounds my like day to day because like I enjoy it. I like, having the breakfast and then getting coffee and then lunch, dinner, all that. And that kind of
Yeah.
splits my days. And I use that to pause and just kind of get off the screen because I'm on the screen way too much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Lot of screen time in this line of work.
Um, but yeah, I'm still working on it. I'm trying to get better at planning ahead and creating more lists and just getting more granular because then when it comes to filming, for example, I'm just like ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Nikki is curious about what Notion is. So I don't know if you want to take a few moments to expound on that new tool of yours.
Yeah. I have the hardest time explaining what Notion is, but it's essentially a note-taking application. And it's very componentized. So for instance, if I have like my content calendar, like a basically like a normal data table, I can like pre-create templates for each project and just have that template ready for me so that when I'm about to start a new project, it will already have all of my inputted like what's going to be my title, thumbnail, script. So you can just get very detailed and really customize it for your needs. And I'm using that to plan my content, track my habits. I don't want to get too granular. I'm just trying to like test it out for now before I
Yeah.
go all in. And then it also has like your basic notepads and things like that.
Yeah. I might have to. I've been using Google Docs so far for a lot of stuff, but I might switch over to Notion. I was
Yeah,
first exposed to it via Michael Rourke. He was the guy who
yeah,
first introduced me to Notion. I don't know if the same is true for you, but
it's true. He's been pushing for it like since years ago.
yeah. For folks that don't know, sorry, Michael is also another colleague of ours from the past, another designer, good fellow. Actually,
Yeah.
probably be a good guest at some point as well. Um, so you kind of like talked about how you kind of structure your week around your videos, and that kind of lends a lot of structure to the week. What is at risk? I don't want to steal the secret sauce if you have anything that you gotta, that is proprietary or whatever. But I'm kind of curious what your general workflow is for kind of approaching a video, how you come up with ideas for them, refine them, execute them, kind of things along those lines.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to share. So I guess like it all starts with like the idea and how do I come up with those ideas. I always start with what I want to work on. Um, we just moved into our home like early early 2020. So there's still a lot of work to do. I still want to do like a bathroom makeover. So there are those like big projects that I'm gonna be working on anyways. And I list all of that out. And then I kind of rank it on like, okay, what's trending lately? So if I don't know, like candle holders, like lately, long tapered candle holders and candles have been a thing. So
Really?
like,
All
let's
right.
say I want to incorporate that somehow into my video, then maybe I'll do like a how to decorate your nightstand and add those kinds of candles there. So
Ah,
I try to figure out a way to be relevant with the projects that I already want to work on. And I've had a like that's the direction I want to really go hone in on now. But in the past year, I've definitely experimented a lot. Um, I've done videos just for the sake of whatever it is being like the thing lately, and
yeah.
I just don't enjoy it when I'm not really making something that I'm not going to be using myself. Um,
Yeah.
Even though it turned out well or I was really happy with the outcome, I'm trying to focus more on like really integrating my life into the content I create. Kind of going in a circle over there, but that's kind of where the ideation, a very like big
Yeah.
picture starts. And then I do a lot of searching on YouTube. So I'm already consuming the content within my niche. So I engage with a lot of other home creators. And based on that, I just naturally kind of have an idea of like, ooh, what do I want to try like next? And then I do a lot of searching on YouTube. So I'll search like how to make over, and I see what like comes up and see what people want to know now. Um,
Oh,
and
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I use a tool called vidIQ. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I do
It's like
have it
an analyst.
installed. I don't think I've. Yeah, I haven't. I know a little bit about it, but I'm far from a power user. So please go on.
Yeah, it's like a YouTube analytic tool, and you can basically get insights into all of the content that's out on YouTube. So if you want to think about YouTube, I'm currently taking like this YouTube challenge course by Sean Cannell. He's a YouTuber who makes content about like helping you create your own channel and making a business out of it.
It's a big niche. There's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
like nothing like selling pickaxes to the coal miners trying to go into the algorithmic mines to like strike gold.
yeah, exactly. It's funny that you say that because like he heavily focused, like he emphasizes that YouTube is a content library, and whereas like Instagram and Twitter might be more of a content feed. And so as a creator on
Ah,
YouTube, you're kind of like setting up your real estate and your yeah, like your video real estate. And so vidIQ is a tool that they recommend, and that's why I started using it. But using vidIQ, you can like basically search for things and it'll give you a score. And that score is like a ratio based upon how popularly this thing is being searched over how many people have created content for that topic. So like the higher that score is, the
Oh,
more
interesting.
likely your video is has less competition basically.
It's
Um
good. Yeah.
yeah,
Always want to
so
be in the
I
blue ocean.
yeah, so I do that to kind of determine like how to phrase my titles or which topic to prioritize out of my idea list, etc.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned something there that is a struggle that I have also begun to feel a little bit, which is the balancing between like the content that you are personally interested in creating and then, what actually gets the likes and clicks and stuff like that. Because
Mhm.
obviously, in my kind of political direction that I'm going, a lot of the likes and clicks are in the direction of like the most inflammatory, like hot take, like low information content possible. But I really don't want to do that because I don't want to be a person contributing to the shittiness of the U.S. political dialogue. But I also feel that temptation there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
I
really
I
vibe
feel
with
like
that.
would you say that so how would you describe your like niche? Because I know you've dabbled in kind of like mainly political area stuff, but a little on other things too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would describe my ideal focus niche as better developed political commentary and research. So, like, stuff that I would say is kind of analogous to it, though obviously I am not close to this level of quality, would be like the
Yeah.
John Oliver Last Week Tonight, where, like, he's not trying to give you, like, the hot takes throughout the week. He's trying to kind of take a step back and say, here's an important issue. Like, let's really dig into it and understand it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the approach that I'm trying to take.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have also learned that, straight political research is not the most riveting content to like put out there. Though some people really love it, and I personally really love it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a way to like keep that core while
Yeah.
also incorporating in things that are a little bit, sexier and more interesting for folks. Whether that's like doing political research while like multitasking while playing a game on stream, which is something we've done. Or, what I'm thinking about for the weeks ahead is like I really want to try and ground my research in like very relevant news. So I want to like follow exactly like what is the Biden administration doing specifically, like beyond the headlines, like what are they actually doing? And then kind of putting that in the broader historical context surrounding that,
Yeah.
and kind of providing context and analysis there. So it's like, you know, here, like as a leftist or a progressive, like here is a detailed analysis of like the immigration bill that Biden sent to Congress. Like here are the good parts of it, here are the bad parts of it, here are like the hurdles it's going to face, yada yada yada, things along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so keeping it like in the news cycle without going, Ben Shapiro got dunked on by AOC. Watch the MAGA chuds get owned. Like,
Like not the headliney talk and the
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And also in large part because I think that's actually a pretty saturated lane in terms of a lot of the content that happens online. But yeah, so no
Yeah, I was
shocked yeah, no like shocked face thumbnails. That's why I use the skull. The skull is a nice
I like
engaging
your
image.
thumbnails.
Yeah, I
I
kind of like
really
my
like
thumbnails too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like that niche is like I can imagine the challenge of being tempted to jump on the like hot topic now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's,
So
yeah. Go
um,
ahead. Sorry.
now I was just gonna ask like how do you balance that? Because me personally, I don't really face that challenge as much. I
Yeah.
mean, like yes, there are trends for home decor, but I love those trends anyways. Like
Yeah.
I want to try it out. I like it, so I don't find that much. yeah, I don't face that challenge as often.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say that primarily, well, actually, I'd say there's a few parts here. So first is there's just kind of an internal emotional struggle where like have you ever seen like Bilbo or Frodo Baggins with the One Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings? Like, are you familiar with them like being attracted to the Ring of Power and being like, ah, yes, my precious?
Yeah.
So I I will feel like that sometimes where like I'll look at political hot takes and I'll be like, ah, yes, my precious, like, and I'll feel it like calling out to me, like the One Ring whispering to me, and I'm just like, oh boy, gotta stay strong. Can't take the ring for my own power, because then I'll just become a servant of Sauron, or in this case, like a servant of the hyper-partisan destructive news cycle. Um, so part of it is just like internal grit. I think another part of it is trying to make like I'm aiming for something better than that a part of my brand, and very much inviting my community to hold me fucking accountable on that front. And this is doubly true when you have a streaming community, because you're like really close with them because they, are chatting with you for hours a day at times.
Yeah.
So having them out there, if they ever see me selling out too hard, hopefully they could call me out and be like, "Hey, friendo, you asshole, you're giving into political hot takes and stuff like that."
Yeah.
But no, it's something that's on my mind, because I don't really feel like it's a settled question for me. Like,
Yeah.
I still very much feel that temptation, and like
Mhm.
at any given moment I could, put the ring on and the ring race will come and take me away.
No, yeah, I like how you mentioned values because I think it's balance, right? Like I think it's important to stay relevant as a content creator. You want to be on top of what's happening and but also find a way to like if you are genuinely interested, find a way to portray that in a way that aligns with your values.
Yeah.
Like as long as I'm not like at Target saying like you should buy this and that and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not being a sellout that way, but I do enjoy shopping there, but I'll give you my honest opinion on like what I
Yeah.
think is worth it or not. So I think it's definitely like a game of fine balance.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is part of the challenge, part of the journey.
Yep.
Um okay.
I'm curious, is politics like a big niche in on Twitch?
Politics is, I would not say, I'd say the niche overall is pretty underdeveloped, but there are
Okay.
some very big streamers on Twitch that just focus on politics, or their main focus is politics. So the pie in the sky, like I could never hope to achieve this level of success, but hey, who the hell knows? But like the 800-pound gorilla in the room is a guy named Hassan Piker.
Uh-huh.
So he streams for like 12 hours a day. Like he essentially lives his entire life on stream. I don't know how he does it, but
Mm.
he's uh he's essentially like 60% politics, 40% video games. And he's so big that like in terms of like online news coverage, he literally
Yeah.
like competes on an eyeballs level with like Fox News and stuff like that.
Oh.
Like like he is literally like a meaningful single digit percent of like all eyeballs on election night, like watching online content and stuff like that.
Wow.
Um so yes, it can definitely be done. But no, politics is not the main kind of focus of Twitch. Twitch is
Mm.
historically very much a kind of a gaming website, though honestly at
Yeah.
this point, with the success of the just chatting category, which is literally just showing up on stream and you're just doing whatever. Like it can be
Oh.
literally anything essentially. So there is a lot of content that is not video game content.
I see.
Um,
Gotcha.
and it's kind of it's honestly sort of like a lot of like reality TV esque stuff. Like not like reality TV, but it kind of has those same vibes where it's like a bunch of people and yeah, I don't know. They like interact with
Hmm.
one another.
I
I
see.
guess I think it's reality TV vibes. I never watched that much reality TV, but I assume it's sort of the same type thing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Um. Okay. What was I? Oh, okay. Yes. So as you kind of
Hmm.
like got into content creation and kind of dug down and settled on your niche of kind of DIY home decor and working on that, I'm kind of curious, like, what was your process in terms of finding your niche there? And I guess actually also for those in the audience who are not aware, why is it so important to find your niche in content creation?
Okay, I'll answer the first one
Yeah.
first. So I started out really broad. I used to consume a lot of different kinds of lifestyle channels, and that ranged from like fashion to home decor to gardening, a lot of different things. And
Yeah.
so I started broad. I created a couple videos doing like fashion shots. I made a couple cooking videos, and then I it happened so that we had just moved to our home. It was a complete blank canvas, and we were doing a floor like a complete renovation. So we redid the
Oh, wow.
carpeting and the wooden floors,
Oh
and
my
so
goodness.
I was like, oh, like I should make content out of this. It's like a pretty big project. It's something I'm really excited about. And that's how it started. And I kind of built on from there because I was decorating our new home. And then the pandemic started. So
Yeah.
I was forced to be home too. it it's like odd because I feel like in a way being quarantined really helped me like niche down. It really
Oh,
pressured
nice.
me to like figure it out because I couldn't really do a lot of other things. So I think like time really just like the timeliness worked well in terms of me discovering this niche. Um, and I really like that it's something I can imagine myself doing literally for the rest of my life.
Oh, whoa.
Feel
Hell
like
yeah.
I can grow with my audience because like as I get older I'll probably have different home tastes and so will other people around my age and
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I'm really happy with where I ended up. In terms of like why it's so important to niche down, um, I think it's like I can't explain it in like one sentence, but I think it's the same kind of concept as like being good at you want to be like you want to be known for something. You want to be an expert of something, and that gives
Yeah.
reason for people to follow you. So like if somebody ends up on my bathroom makeover channel and they click into my channel and see that I have other makeovers and they see me as a makeover girl, then they have a strong sense of like who I am, what kind of value I provide, and I think it's really important to have that good, strong first impression and for people to want to join in.
Yeah.
Um, and I think after you've built a certain amount of audience and engagement, you can kind of experiment more. But I think having a clear niche is important for that like initial phase of building a relationship with your audience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm probably experimenting a little too early. I do, I like to mess around and experiment with stuff like this where, you talk about kind of content creation and stuff kind of behind the scenes, but also I kind of just like it a little bit. But it probably would be more effective if I just stayed very, very focused for stream after
I
stream.
Yeah, that's the thing that so I think it's important to niche down, but I don't think like I think it can be a natural process.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring it out. And it's funny because I reached out to someone who does purely DIYs, and her DIYs are very visually consistent. Like she has a certain style, and to me, that's very focused.
Yeah.
But even she's figuring out how to niche down further. So I think talking to different people at different stages of their content creating journey, like it seems like people are just figuring it out as they go, and it'll just become clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
So I'll just put that out there to like, it's okay to not know yet. I think it's better to follow that like natural gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of stages of the content creation journey, you are a newly minted YouTube partner. And from
Oh,
like glancing at your channel, I feel like every time I look at it, it's got like several hundred additional new subscribers. So I feel like you're kind of at like, I don't know, like, do you feel like you're at like an inflection point or anything like that? Like, how has like stuff been kind of prior to becoming a partner versus since becoming a partner and kind of that 1,000 subs mark? Like, have you noticed kind of a change in things, or is that just something that I'm seeing from the outside?
yeah, I think it definitely compounds. And it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier, building your real estate. Like,
Yeah.
your videos start to work for you. You're sleeping and they're all working together for you. And you start to really feel that after a certain point.
Yep.
I think for me, that was around the time when I became a partner. Um, and I started noticing more genuine comments, like from random people saying, like, oh, hey, you should try this, or I don't really like how you did this. And to me, like, I love receiving those comments a lot more than like receiving views because that shows me that like people are actually engaged and like wanting
Yeah.
to see the content.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing more of that. And I think it's definitely helped me be more confident. I feel more certain about like what I'm doing. So I think it's definitely been like a boost,
Hell
and
yeah.
I'm noticing the videos working for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting like genuinely engaged comments from strangers actually feels really good. It's like very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
hmm Like, wow, you took the time to watch this. And
Yeah.
I always imagine like, let's say you have like 1K subscribers, like imagining 1,000 people in a room, like
That is
it's a
true.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you get comments that are less nice or comments that are just weird. I got a comment on my video that I launched earlier today, which was just K. Just the letter K. I was like, thanks, bro. Well, at least you commented. I'm sure the algorithm will give me a small boost for that. Yeah. Another thing I've kind of noticed in looking at your channel is that like you have some videos that have done really well, like tens of thousands of views, kind of standing as kind of like clear outliers to other videos. Have you like been able to get a sense of like what drives your like 25K view videos versus like a 500 view video or things along those lines? Like, have you been taking different strategies for it, or is it just one of those things where it's like, this video's taken off? Nice.
No. Um, yeah, I have noticed that the videos that do well, so it's like, hmm, the videos that have done well on my channel are all of a different category. So like my best performing video is a makeover, and then I have two other ones that did well, which are shop with me's.
Hmm.
So I'll kind of like cover different things for them.
That's wonderfully
So my
confusing.
yeah, because I think different things are working for different videos.
Yeah.
Um, I think one thing is the relevance thing. I made a candle holder
Mm.
DIY video that didn't do so well initially, but then recently had a boost because that's when tapered candles started getting trendy.
All
And I
right.
didn't think that it would like become this trendy, so I guess I got really lucky there. I was kind of ahead and kind of this is a project that I actually
Hey.
liked for my home too. Um, so that was like a very keyword specific thing. If I look at why it's getting a lot of views, it's hitting like the search tag for tapered candles, DIY candle holders. So that one I think I use search tags really well. Um,
Yeah.
for my shop with me's, I timed it with a release that was happening at Target, so it was also a relevance thing. Um, and then my makeover, the one that's doing really
Ah.
well, I think it had to do with my thumbnail, and I promoted it. I forgot about that. I
Ah,
promoted it into this like huge it's called Asian Hustle Network. It's like this huge Facebook group of like Asian entrepreneurs, and I shared my video in that group, and it gave me a huge view boost. And I don't know
nice.
if like the algorithm was like, ooh, like I like what's happening here, like boost her even more.
Yeah.
I want to say that helped, but yeah, I think for that video it was the shareability because I promoted it. A lot of other people started tagging their friends in the comment thread. And I think it was kind of like the
Oh,
wow factor of like before and after, which I try to encapsulate in the thumbnail.
yeah.
Um, so that was kind of a scattered answer,
No,
but
it makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like timeliness and relevance, which honestly, like, I have heard multiple times about the importance of like speed and timeliness and relevance. I don't think I've fully internalized just how important it is, but like hearing it, like, hearing it from you as well, it's just like, yes, okay. It's like, you got to be fast. Got to be fast, fast, fast.
You do. Yeah, I sometimes feel like I'm living ahead of time. Like I had my Christmas tree up or around mid-November, and then I was so sick of it like, even before Christmas Day.
Oh, man. That's actually pretty funny.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I think your the defund the police video on YouTube. That one
Yes.
really resonated with me because I think it had to do with the relevance too. Because I had just read an article about Obama being against that phrase, and then
Yes.
I see your thing pop up about why I forget how you titled it, but I was like,
It's a good
huh.
phrase, and if you disagree, you're wrong.
Yeah. And I thought your delivery wasn't like arrogant or anything. It was just like you kind of boiled it down to the facts of like, you need extremist views and phrases for moderate action to happen. And that totally made sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That, and I was kind of going for, part of the reason I think defund the police is such a good phrase is because it is so inflammatory. So I wanted to capture a little bit of that in the title as well
Yeah.
by making my title inflammatory. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And definitely something I got to think critically about because honestly, yeah, the difference between a timely political video and a non-timely political video is probably pretty significant in terms of the amount of engagement it'll actually get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So, you know, I try and track like metrics and things like that, kind of in terms of what I'm keeping track of. And I know obviously a lot of people also say like don't make it about the numbers. The content has to come first, and that is very true. Like good content is more important than anything else. But I'm kind of curious from a metrics perspective, like are there kind of key metrics that you really like to keep in mind, that you like to keep track of? Like why did you pick those ones? Mainly so if I'm not tracking them, I can be like, oh fuck, I gotta start looking at this.
Yeah. So last year I did have a pretty big goal of like wanting to reach 10K subs.
Yep.
But near the fall time, I was like, okay, I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Nothing's really working, or I'm not gonna say that. Things are working, but it wasn't working as I had shotted for. And so around the time when I was noticing some traction from the balcony makeover, I was like, okay, it seems like I'm getting around this many subs a day. Let's be more realistic with my goals. I think I can try to be a partner by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that itself kind of just reminded me of like, it is important to have this like high vision of how big you want to grow, but um, don't be so attached to that.
Yeah.
Like, because like even this year, I'm shooting pretty high. I want to try to reach for 100K. I'm just like shooting for the stars,
Hell
and
yeah.
I'll end up on the moon. But
Hell yeah.
I'm like working realistically, and I'm trying to focus more on the system and the process because I
Yep.
think ultimately the better that goes for you, then the numbers will just follow.
Yeah.
Um, so going back to your question, like the metrics I am thinking about are those kind of like big numbers that I'm dreaming about. But on the day to day, I focus more on my engagement, my click through rate, more like video specific metrics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
the same ones that I kind of look at. I only just recently got to the point of where YouTube has enough data where it can show me like my historical performance and tell me if my video is like tracking along with historical performance. So,
Oh.
uh, do you do you find YouTube statistics to be like video statistics to be like really fun and addicting to watch? Because I know that like I really enjoy like looking at the stats for the video, even beyond like an analytical perspective, where you'll just be like, all right, what's going on here? Oh, this number of people saw it, but only this many clicked on it. Oh, okay, yeah,
No, yeah. I've definitely had like ups and downs, like moments where I've been like obsessed with my metrics.
yeah,
And then okay, I should get off this and like actually focus on my content.
yeah.
I do it first thing in the morning when I wake up. I check my metrics, but after becoming a partner, I have become a little obsessed over like refreshing and seeing like how much money did I make today.
Oh, very
Now you have
nice.
the monetization tab.
Yeah,
So yeah,
very
yes,
cool.
I do get really excited and get a little obsessed with my analytics sometimes.
Yeah, it's I've definitely found that literally one of my favorite apps on my phone is the YouTube Studio app, where it's just like click,
Yeah,
ooh, or
yeah,
click, ugh,
yeah,
depending on the video. Um, Actually, on that note of kind of the ooh and the uhs,
yeah.
um, like content creation. I mean, I don't know about for you, but content creation can definitely be a bit of a emotional roller coaster. You're definitely kind of there are many aspects of it that I think make it a little more nerve wracking than a traditional job, or at least make it for me. And I don't know if these will resonate with you, but it's like, A, you're not making money, not yet. B, you're out there very publicly and you have a lot of people like commenting on you publicly.
Mhm.
There's very little structure in terms of your day and it's kind of all on you, like success or failure and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, how have you found that aspect of content creation? Have in terms of like being confident, maintaining your mood, things like that throughout the process? Are there any things you found there that have worked well for you? Or really, however you want to run with this, just given, it's like
Oh
this is
yeah,
a pretty bizarre job.
it is. It's an emotional roller coaster, and I mean, I've cried a lot of times. I'm not gonna like hide that. Like
Yeah.
it's like I faced a lot of self-doubt and I think that will always be there. Like no matter what you're pursuing, if it's especially something you're doing for yourself, like if you're starting a restaurant or whatever it is, starting an app. I think it's a lonesome journey sometimes too.
Yeah.
Um, so it's inevitable. Like you're gonna have those ups and downs. So I've learned to like just accept it. Like there's gonna be
Yeah.
those moments, but then I've also learned to reframe my mindset. So I feel like self-doubt when I feel like, oh, like that video wasn't that good or whatever it is that's leading to self-doubting, doubtful thoughts. I feel like it always stems from some sort of like insecurity, like not feeling good enough. And there's different things that trigger that, whether it's like this video didn't go as planned, or I end up on someone else's channel who's doing so much better than mine, but she only started like a month ago. Um,
Yes, I have seen that a few times. That
yeah.
stings. Whenever you see someone who started after you, who's way ahead of you, you're like, all right, that stings a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've like learned to just reframe those thoughts. Like for instance,
Yes.
if I'm comparing myself to someone else, I try to think about like one thing that I'm good at and then one thing that they're good at. And it kind of turns this like moment of comparing to like a moment of empowerment. Cause like we're all in the same journey, but
Yeah.
on different paths. And I have my strengths and others have their own. And it's like just reminding myself of that. And then I think as my videos are picking up, I try to focus on those improvements and the numbers and the actual facts. Like, hey, but this did well and that's going well too, and just kind of keep myself
Yeah.
empower myself and turn off that inner critic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The inner critic can definitely be a factor. Yeah.
yeah,
I think a big part, yeah, a big part of my approach to my inner critic has been like not giving myself enough time to like let that part of myself start to voice things, where it'll just be like, I'm gonna make this video as fast as possible, I'm gonna review it once, and then we're just gonna publish it. I'm not gonna let myself think about it more than that.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
ripping the
sure,
band-aid
like,
off a little bit.
do you face more of that pressure as a live streamer? Because you've done both. You've live streamed and you've made YouTube videos. And I feel like YouTube is a lot different because you can really craft like how you want to portray yourself. Whereas like whatever we say on screen now, like you can't really take back and you might regret things. So
Yeah.
like how do you kind of manage the emotions that come from live streaming? I'm sure it's a whole different kind of like
Yeah, it's a pretty different animal. So one thing is that like a really kind of rough, unrefined aesthetic is super common within live streaming. So you're definitely able to kind of relax a lot more there, right? Like I got a fucking an IKEA dresser that's been with me since like after college. My dog crate, you can see like an airbrush vent sitting on the floor behind me. Like you definitely don't have to like curate a lot of the aesthetics too much. Versus on YouTube, I actually think there is genuinely a much higher kind of standard of production quality that you need to kind of live up to. So yeah, but in terms of like the live performance versus like video performance thing, I actually, for whatever reason, have found myself more kind of emotionally wigged out by the video performances than by the live performances,
yeah.
which I'm not sure why that's the case. I think part of it is that like, you know, streams are a little bit looser, so if I like fuck up or stumble or whatever, it's like, whatever, it's a stream. But I feel like if I like make a mistake in a YouTube video or something like that, it's like, and like a mistake I don't catch or something like that, it's like my flaw is like preserved in resin. Like, oh, look at this idiot. Even in a self-reflective format, he couldn't catch that issue, or something along those lines. I do think that I benefit in a very large part from the fact that I'm pretty comfortable with live performance. Like I did theater in high school and stuff like that. So that kind of made me a little bit more comfortable there.
Yeah.
And actually, I shit you not, Dungeons and Dragons, running an online Dungeons and Dragons game is not that different than running a stream, sort of. Like you're kind of like the host, you're there in a video chat with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of on you to keep things flowing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it honestly just boils down to like I've had a lot of experience, or more than most people probably, in terms of like live performance experience. Like not like I'm an actor or anything like that. What else? Also, I've, you know, when your like chat gets going and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
they're a huge part of, at least for me, they're a huge part of it being kind of a nice and positive experience because you're able to vibe off of them. You know, they give you energy to kind of continue the show and things along those lines. Like the amount of energy from like a dead chat versus like a live chat, you know, stuff like this aside, where I'm not really paying super close attention to chat. Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
because I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
But that can make a big difference there.
Gotcha.
I think the one area where I have definitely seen live streaming being a little more challenging, and I would say that a lifetime of being in playing video games and running into the assholes that you inevitably run into when you play video games has helped you here a little bit, is that you sometimes get some really shitty people in chat. And unlike a YouTube comment, like, they are right there live, typing it live, like watching your response to what they're typing to you.
Right.
And that can be pretty unpleasant. Especially when you're like streaming politics. So, you know, you'll get like just like racists and Nazis and shit like that. Like, and I don't mean like just random conservatives. I mean literal like Heil Hitlering Nazis and shit like that.
Extreme.
Well, like, come on by.
Gosh.
Yeah.
How do you keep in that? I'd be so mad.
Yeah. Well, so part of it is that it's a little bit like trying to heckle a comedian, but you're even at a greater disadvantage. So like at a comedy show, if you try and heckle a comedian, like you have to be better than the comedian in that moment. Like not just better than the comedian on an even playing field, but the comedian has the stage, they have the mic, they have all of the focus, they have all of the attention, they have the crowd on their side. Like you need to overcome all of that as the heckler, and you can do that if you're a really good heckler. So I kind of view it as the same sort of thing. So like when someone kind of comes in and like starts throwing shit, I just remember like this person is literally just lines of text on the stream. Like I'm a video, I have a voice, I can right click their username and ban them at any moment I would like. So I really kind of lean into the fact that I have structural power over them in this interaction to try and like.
That is true. You can always block them.
Yeah, and I will do that. Generally, like, if I have literally, like, a Heil Hitler-ing Nazi, I'll generally make fun of them and then ban them. Or ban them and then make fun of them. But, you know, it can get under your skin, right? Especially if it happens, like, multiple times and stuff like that. And in that regard, I don't know. I've been socialized as a man, so I'm good at swallowing my emotions. I don't know. That's not a good thing. You know, I think it's, you know, it's definitely a challenging part of the situation and role. And a little bit different than kind of the YouTube side of things and stuff like that. I don't know if I answered your question there. I kind of yammered on for a while about various aspects.
No, that
of like,
answered it. I think that totally makes sense. You're kind of just you're on the spot, so
you're
own challenges.
Yes, you are on the spot. Now that said, genuinely, what a lot of folks do, you don't even have to engage with it, right? Like if you see someone in chat who's a bad actor, honestly, you can literally not even mention it. Just right click on their name, ban them. It deletes all of their chat messages, and then you know, don't give it any kind of response as a streamer. And that is actually something you have to be very careful of as a streamer. There's some streamers that will fall into the trap of like, especially when they get too big to keep up with chat, where they will only respond to the negative comments in chat, which highly incentivizes people to write negative comments in chat because they want to see the streamer talking about them.
Oh, interesting.
So definitely as I get larger, I will probably begin to adopt a model more along the lines of if you come into the chat and just begin to take a dump on the floor, I'm just going to ban you and not even mention it. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
People creating drama to be recognized.
Yes. No, 100%. Yeah. Very, 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 very much a thing.
Yeah.
I know that you've been doing a little bit of dabbling with live streaming. Is this something that's like on your radar at all to kind of experiment with or not? Or what's your thinking there?
Yeah, I think I was kind of inspired by Friendo and I, we are a part of this accountability group. We meet every month and we just have a video chat. It's like several of us content creators and we just kind of talk about our content lives. And I think there was one meeting we had where we talked about live streaming and they suggested that I do like a clean with me. So that's been something I've been thinking about, and I really like that that's still pretty far removed from like putting myself on the spot, because like I'll just be cleaning and maybe heavily focus it more on music, like having a playlist ready so others can join in when clean with me or something like that.
Careful not to get DMCA'd.
Yeah, but I think for now, so this chat with you today was also one way of me just seeing what it is like, but I think I still prefer to be more, I like doing the behind the scenes, craft it, then release it.
Yes.
And if it is live streamed, I'll probably experiment it, but be pretty far removed from like talking a lot. And I think that just suits my personality too. So I am considering it. Haven't really gotten to the extent of like trying it out. I did try to set up a camera, like and plug it into my computer, and that didn't work out. So I'll try again another time. But
we'll happy to help with any of that technical randomness. If you just literally just shoot me a message and Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially if you genuinely kind of enjoy the craftsmanship of like putting together videos and stuff like
Mm.
that. Because I know a lot of people really, really do love that and kind of like working on the editing and the music and the sound design and all of that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
is that like I'm actually a little jealous of that because I kind of view editing a little bit as a chore, but
I like that process. I
yeah.
My least part is probably the filming, like being in front of camera. Uh,
Ah, okay.
Least favorite part. Um, I like the crafting and turning it into like a piece of story or an artwork and sharing it out. I think I'm liking like the videos more where it's more focused on like the project I'm doing, which is why I want to also make sure that I'm leaning more towards like being a creator and versus like an influencer.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I want my content, even like when I'm filming, to be more about like the room or what it is that I'm showing and less about like my personality.
Yeah, yeah.
Although your personality is important too, so that's kind of my struggle there as well. I don't like talking in front of the camera. It's just become a thing that I have to do, and I am getting more comfortable with it. And
I
it
mean,
is
you've seemed comfortable and eloquent throughout this entire conversation,
really
so
in my brain. I'm like, oh, like I don't think I explained that well at all.
oh
Or
no
like,
no 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 no, you're killing it. You're killing it.
thank you.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, on my end, definitely the part of the process that I enjoy the least is like editing a video and putting it together, which is probably why you've noticed the production value on my videos is pretty low. Not a whole lot going on there besides me speaking into the camera and some PowerPoint slides, but I
Your
do want
slides are really good though. Like they help your like message get across really well.
I am glad. Yeah, it's me leaning on my time as a management consultant back in the day. Yet another entirely different career that I held at one point.
Isn't
Yeah.
that funny how like all those things randomly just end up helping you like at what you're doing today?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. It really makes sense for content creators just because there's so much that goes into content creation, right? Like you're running your own small business, so you got to kind of think about it from that perspective. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to run it more effectively, you should try and think about it from that perspective. You
Yeah.
know, you're also being a content creator, so you need to like think about how to be like a good entertainer, but you also have to be a marketer. You have to know how to like read analytics and do those sorts of things there.
Oh yeah.
Like
You
it's
have
like
to like wear so many different hats and learn when to turn off and on each role. Like,
yes.
okay, marketing Eunice coming in, what do we have to do today? And like, oh no, product manager Eunice coming in, like, come on, we don't have time to do this. So I think it's been like a really good experience actually
Yeah.
doing this.
How well do the various Eunices get along with one another?
I would say the one Eunice that like the other Eunices aren't the happiest with is the one that like I'm not good at like doing the high impact item, like the needle
Yeah.
moving forward. I get really down and like like I go down rabbit holes and I get really into like, ooh, I should update all of my thumbnails to improve my CTR. But it's like, is that really necessary? And is that the best use of your time?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm getting better at it, but that's probably the Eunice that I don't know what Eunice that is. That's not necessarily any role. Maybe the IC Eunice, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's the I have not done this, but have you thought of trying to do like a like 80-20 sort of exercise at the start of each week where it's like thinking about like what is like the 20% of my energy that's going to like get me 80% of my results this week or something like that. I don't know. It seems like that could be like a decent exercise for
Yeah, I have not done that. I guess I do some variants of it where I just kind of think about like, okay, what are my high impact items? But
yeah.
I do want to incorporate that more into my planning.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah, I should be doing it as well. I don't do that as well. And it can sometimes be easy to get caught up on stuff that doesn't seem like it will move the needle as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So, oh, yeah, we're actually a little over an hour now. How are you doing on time? How are you holding up in your neck of the woods? I have a few more questions on my mind, and I also want to see if anything's coming from chat, but I don't want to hold you if you
I
know.
am totally fine. I'm all yours. I have
Hell
like
yeah.
nothing else planned for the week. For the week, no, for the night.
For the night.
For the
Hell yeah.
night.
All right. Awesome. Cool. Well, so if anyone has questions in chat, feel free to type them in there. But while that is going on,
Oh, if you
um,
don't mind, I'm gonna quickly turn on this other lamp in my room.
I do not mind.
It's getting a little dark.
Yes. And I'm glad you did that because that was something I felt a little bad about during my conversation with Jess, where her room just kept getting darker and darker and darker.
I noticed that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, we've talked about, you're blowing up now more since you've become a YouTube partner. It's kind of, we're still sort of near the beginning of 2021. Perpetually in a process of evaluating your niche and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious, like, if you're willing to talk about it, like, do you have kind of ideas for like directions you want to take your content in the months and year? I mean, years, an insanely long time horizon. I have no fucking clue at that time horizon, but if you do, more power to you. But I don't know, like, as you think ahead to like 2021 and you're like, oh, like I want to do that or whatever, like what you thinking? What can we expect from Eunice in the months and weeks ahead?
Yeah, I actually have quite a hefty list of projects I want to work on this year.
Ooh, hell yeah.
It's just a matter of like ranking them right now, but the more immediate ones is like finishing up our home. I'm gonna do a bedroom makeover, a bathroom makeover, and potentially a kitchen makeover. The
Yeah.
kitchen one, I kind of want to go more reno, like actually consider like redoing the countertops and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Are we gonna get any footage of Eunice with like a sledgehammer, like bah! Hitting the cabinets, like extreme home makeover style? And if not, can we please?
That like whole concept right there was actually something I considered in the beginning of like how to position myself. Like, what if I'm just this like little like because I'm petite, like this little girl like smashing things and using a screwdriver and stuff. But no, yeah, makeovers are coming to my channel. That's probably going to be my main focus like in the upcoming months, and then I'm going to scatter some like DIYs throughout in between those projects. I'm also exploring, so I'm currently doing a virtual makeover for someone who's also in our accountability group. His channel's Way of Kung Fu. He he was kind of like a nomad when it came to filming. Like he would film outdoors in his studio and in his pretty empty home office room. So he kind of wanted a more dedicated space. So we worked together to decorate his home office room, and it's pretty much done now. I'm just like gonna start working on the script and release a video about it soon. So that's kind of like I'm considering like, oh, should I do more of these virtual makeovers? Because that was really fun. I really like that, like it's like I get to do all the fun work, but I don't have to buy anything, and I'm like
a much cheaper video for you to make. Yeah.
And so that was like, and Michael was like very on board about everything. Like he was really quick, so I think that definitely made it a much more enjoyable experience. But that is something I'm also exploring. And then
interesting. I have a lot of bare walls in my house. Perhaps we could collab sometime down the future.
Yeah, we could like live stream you putting things together as I'm like directing you.
Yeah. Not that way, Alex.
Lower.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that could be a lot of fun. I might be down for that. Especially since I want to, one activity I've started thinking about multitasking with doing research to like make the research a little more engaging and palatable. So it's not just, and here's another academic paper, buckle up, would be doing cooking while doing the research. So we're like cooking a meal on stream, and then like whenever there's downtime, because I don't know, the potatoes are roasting or something. We're like, all
Yeah.
right, the potatoes are roasting. Now let's read about the injustices inherent in our system.
Basically like a political mukbang. Like you know what mukbangs are, right?
Yes, yeah.
That'd actually be really entertaining.
And as I slurp this ramen up, consider the analogy to the billionaires slurping all the wealth up.
It's funny because my homemates and I were doing like we just finished a 1,000 piece puzzle,
Yeah.
and as we were doing the puzzle together, oh, that was also a reason why I was late to one of the meetings. But
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
yeah,
yes.
we were like totally metaphorically like representing the puzzle pieces as like our society, like these are the 1% like billionaires. We must gather all of them in this corner.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, honestly, just trying to find ways to make eating your greens, so to speak, from a politics perspective, more interesting.
Yeah.
Which is, actually figuring out what's going on. Cool. All right. I think we kind of got through all of the main things. Kind of, I was curious about. I don't know. Are there any kind of final things where you're like, yo, if you're like a new baby content creator thinking about getting into this content creation game, wisdom from Eunice, what would you throw out there?
Wisdom. I would say hmm, there's so many pieces of wisdom that I would have.
Drop some bombs.
Okay. I think it's so important to surround yourself with other people in the journey and
Yeah.
and with like-minded people and those who like actually understand and empathize with what you're doing, because I mean you're gonna have your friends who give you like, hey, you should do this and that, but it's not gonna come from like someone who's also trying to niche down or trying to strategize. You want like that real feedback, and it just makes your journey a lot less lonely and it keeps you accountable. So that's been a huge benefit for me personally, um, having that accountability group.
Yeah.
Um, and
I've
then
thank you for making it. I've really enjoyed being a part of it because yeah, no, like as you said earlier, like it can be a very kind of on your own sort of gig to pursue. So having some folks that are doing it is a nice little sense of community. And
yeah.
I need to plan that happy hour or a game night or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
gotta get that planned.
Okay.
I'm noticing whenever I join groups of people, I'll inevitably turn like, hey guys, let's get some fun stuff scheduled.
Yeah, you always become like the event planner, I guess.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that.
You've been successful with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that comes like on the top of my mind. The other one is to just like I don't know if this is more of like a advice, but it's more like to just trust yourself, like to be okay with not being okay and the uncertainty, and to just like really be there for yourself. Like as cheesy as it sounds, it's like be your own cheerleader because
Yeah.
like you really need that to move forward. And when I like sometimes freeze in front of the camera, for example, and I'm like so frustrated at myself that I'm repeating the same line over and over again,
That
it's
gets
like
me so
ultimately
angry whenever I have to do that.
yeah. It's like ultimately you that has to like get you like, hey, come on, like we got this, don't worry.
Yeah.
So I think just being there for yourself, and then really focusing on that 1% growth, like becoming better by 1% with each content you're releasing out, and not comparing yourself to the big guys, because like where you
Yeah.
are now, you shouldn't compare that to someone else's like end or middle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that and also the big guys, probably a lot of them also have like full teams. Like they're a whole
Yeah.
industry unto themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I those are kind of all of the main things that occurred to me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I want to shill and link your YouTube channel real quick though. What else should I link beyond your YouTube channel in my chat?
You can link my Instagram. It's
All right. Boom.
Eunice _ at home.
All right, let me get that in there real quick. We need the plugs. It's the most important part of thing at Eunice _ at home. Oh, wait. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Awesome. All right, cool. Thank you for coming on today and like chatting a little bit about content creation. I've tried to be pretty open with my community about stuff behind the scenes. So I appreciate you coming on to share this as well. So they actually get the perspective of someone who's a little bit further along, a little bit more experienced, and they don't always just have to listen to my semi-informed takes on the content creation game.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll see you around after all of this friggin' coronavirus stuff is over.
I'm looking forward to our game night.
Yeah. All right. See you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.